I'm Alan, this is Patrick, and we are reviewing Glen Scotia's Campbeltown Malt Festival 2020 limited edition Tawny Port finish, aged 14 years peated. That's a mouthful. That is quite a bit of information. This is the box that came in, and
that's a beautiful box.
That is a beautiful box and a beautiful bottle. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a gorgeous bottle.
Let me see what it says on the back of the box.
There you go, Patrick. Why don't you just start off with a little bit of reading, and then I'll just kind of go over, what it all means after you read it.
All right, Glen Scotia Single Malt Scotch Whisky Campbeltown Malts Festival 2020, limited edition. It's a 20 port finish, aged 14 years, and peated. This wonderfully peated Glen Scotia single malt was matured in a mixture of American oak hogshead and clear char American oak barrels and first fill bourbon barrels, delivering a well-balanced peat smoke with fruits and warming spice, demonstrating the character of Glen Scotia Distillery. These casks are then vatted together and finished in Tawny port for 6 months. Tawny port.
There you
For 6 months, bringing notes of blackberry, blackcurrant, raspberry, and complements the peat smoke and distillery character. Tawny port is fortified wine that has been barrel aged for an average of 20 years in barrel, developing a rich amber color and is generally sweeter than a younger ruby port. This is natural color, non-chill filtered, cask strength. Campbeltown is a small town on the Kintree Peninsula on the west coast of Scotland, affectionately known as the Wee Tomb. Once home of over 30 distilleries, it was known as the Victorian whiskey capital of the world. Glen Scotia is now one of only 3 distilleries that have survived through to the present day.
All right, so what does that all mean? Okay, so Tawny port, hogshead cask strength, 14 years aged, peated. What does all that mean?
What is the ABV though? Also.
Yeah. So the ABV is 52%. 52.8%. So almost 53%, and it's got quite a kick to it, right? So the alcohol by volume, cask strength, that's all that means, right? So that means cask strength means they took it from the cask, bottled it. They filtered it out, so there's no extra pieces of wood in there, but that's it. They didn't dilute it with water at all. The next thing is hogshead. What's a hogshead? Hogshead is just basically a larger than a barrel. It's like you have a standard sized barrel, and a hogshead is just slightly bigger. And they take the staves from old bourbon cask, and then they take the 2 ends and they put new oak for the 2 ends. Okay, so and a hogshead is basically just an old used barrel and new ends at the bottom.
So they kind of like refurb it?
No, because the charring, all that is stayed the same, right? It's only
the bottom.
Yeah, it's only the bottom parts, right?
Oh, top and bottom.
Yeah.
So if you flip it, whatever.
And Tawny port, and it just means that they placed them in old barrels containing Tawny port as well, and that was the finish.
Yeah, that's how they finished it.
Yeah, so they finished it in Tawny port. So they took old barrels of Tawny port, and they placed it in there to finish, and this was for their festival on Isla. Campbeltown. Now Campbeltown has an amazing backstory, right? Campbeltown, again, like you were reading, there used to be 34 distilleries in Campbeltown, and they were the largest region in Scotland. Okay, they were the heart of Scotland, and they were the capital of Scotch. And then, basically, what happened is they were the capital because they have a deep water port, so they can allow big ships to come in. Okay, so they had access to the mainland Scotland, basically. And then they were building a bunch of distilleries. They had, you know, basically everyone wanted in, right? And once the Campbelltown became really popular, so everyone's pumping out as much whiskey as they can, and it just turned to shit essentially. You know, there wasn't any product control or, you know, customer control there. And the quality of the whiskey went down, became unpopular for one of two reasons. Again, the quality went down, and the other thing is that Speyside opened up by having trains. Right, trains were invented, and now you could get whiskey from the heart of Speyside easily. So those two things are contributed to the decline of Campbelltown. And after that, you know, there were only 3 distilleries left. Right. Yeah, well, there were only 2 distilleries there. There was Springbank and Glen Scotia. So Glen Scotia is one of the 2 that survived, and then eventually Springbank went out and they got Glengyle, which is under the name Kilkerran. If you've ever seen the Kilkerran bottles, we'll do a whole episode on Campbelltown and you know, history of the Campbelltown, but just a rough history of what Campbelltown is and who Glen Scotia is. And
I would just say it's in general, Glen Scotia makes some very, very delicious Campbelltown Scotch,
and they make beautiful bottles.
So it's always fun to open their boxes.
The biggest downside to Glen Scotia is that they don't actually fit in the you know, the cabinet very well. You know, so I actually, you know, I can't even put these on the cabinet. Their Victoriana would be top shelf whiskey for me. I would definitely keep it on the top shelf. It's a beautiful bottle, but you know, it doesn't fit unless I start, you know, stacking them on top of the cabinet.
Just gotta get a taller top shelf.
I think we're gonna need a bigger boat.
I think that sounds about right.
Well, cheers. Let's take a good nose on this. Let's get a good nose. Okay, I definitely get those peat notes. We're coming off of a Lagavulin, so the peat notes on this is not as strong as Lagavulin.
Very, very minor.
Yeah, in comparison to that. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like peat, you're gonna smell this. Yeah, it's definitely there. It's definitely a little bit younger than the Lagavulin. Again, I'm getting those a stronger, like, fresh linen notes that I get with younger peat. And I mean, at 14 years, it's not a heck of a lot younger than Lagavulin, but it is a little bit lighter. You definitely get those sweet port notes that you're used to, like those plums and those berries. It's definitely on the nose.
Yeah, you can smell the berries very clearly.
Oh, so good.
I think I smell some currant in there too. Oh, I'm ready for this. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go. That is a sturdy glass.
It is definitely cask strength. Now, I'm always a fan of cask strength, right? And one of the reasons I love cask strength is because I like to be able to adjust my water volume myself. Now, when you're adding water to whiskey, the reason people do that is because it opens up the oils, right? So there is a reason to add water to whiskey. In fact, a lot of times I like it on a glass of ice, and we'll probably have a glass of ice you know, in future episodes. I just I didn't get around to setting it up.
There's no wrong way to drink whiskey. The best whiskey is the one that you're having, ideally with a friend or with some friends. So here's to you guys.
What I generally say is that if you're a grown man and you buy your own whiskey, you can enjoy it however the hell you want, right? This bottle comes in about $85 locally. Prices are very subjective, right? Depending on what state you're in, what country you're in. We just got the single malt tax that increased over here in the States, so everything's price subjective. But here in Los Angeles, this bottle comes in about $85, and it just hit the market about a couple weeks ago. So we're relatively late to get this bottle. This is the 2020 release, and oh, that taste. Oh, it's sweet, mild peat. You know what kind of reminds me of?
I think there's a lot of wood in it too.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Oh, what does this remind me of? It's almost like actually the Lagavulin Distillers Edition a little. It's got that, you know, because they do like a port finish on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh, there's that lemon you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get the lemon. And it's got a long finish. It definitely.
Yeah, there's some different layers in it.
So, again, we add some water to it to open up the oils, and
it will change some of the characteristics. Again, when it's cask strength, usually it's pretty sturdy, so there's going to be a little bit of shock in the mouth. So opening it up might let you get some of the other flavors that you didn't notice before.
It's barely noticeable with that amount of water. Let me try and add some more. But again, at $85 a bottle, if you want to add that with a glass of Coke, it's up to you. However, whatever you enjoy your whiskey at. We're not big whiskey snobs here.
We're not going to judge you.
I've been a wino for most of my life, and we're in California, so trust me, there are wine snobs in Napa and in Santa Barbara, and there's plenty of places. I've always considered myself a wino, and
I just like drinking.
Exactly. And as far as whiskey goes, I'm definitely not a snob. It's hard to be a snob with whiskey, at a certain level. Like there's just something, a little bit more gritty about whiskey. So you get a little bit better with people. When you're spending, over $100, you're gonna get some people that definitely will tell you how to enjoy your whiskey. But it's however you enjoy it, man. What I usually do is I don't even bother with the water usually. What I do is I usually have a double old-fashioned glass with a single cube of ice and then my Glencairn, and then I'll sip on my Glencairn and I'll enjoy it there. And then when I'm when I want to, I'll pour it over the ice, mainly to keep that ice from melting all the way. So I don't want to dump it into a glass. I want to it gets a little hot here in the South Bay, so I'll take that glass of ice and just to have something cool and refreshing on a summer's day. That's personal.
Yeah, it's even not that bad in the springtime or even the fall. It's a little brag for California. I just moved out to Texas, and it's a little interesting. So still trying to figure out weather out there. But,
you're about 3 hours away from those whiskey trap guys. You should probably go take a look at the Whiskey Academy while you're out there.
Oh yeah, we'll try and check that out one of these days. Those guys seem like some real good guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always fun to drink with everybody. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, Patrick, what is this bottle to you? To me, this is definitely a third to top shelf. I would definitely keep it around here. It's definitely worth its price. I'm not mad that I paid that much money for it. At $85,
it is a slightly more pricey bottle. And I can say it's as something special for a special occasion. If you want something new and exciting.
Yeah, like Friday night, or Thursday. That's a special day, right? I was by the liquor store on Thursday, and that's a special day.
That's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody has a reason. We share it with our friends. We have a good time. Maybe you're having a bad time. So it'll pick you up a little bit, I think.
Well, that's pretty much it for me on this. I will say, thanks for being at the Cult of Whiskey, and all hail Cal.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.